We don't have an intro yet either, so that's fine. Are you waiting for me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hi, I'm Sharon.
Hi, Ryan. Again.
So this episode, we were going to talk about our experience booking our Disney cruise. We haven't gone on the cruise yet, so we can't really talk about that yet, but we wanted to talk about our experience just booking the cruise and signing up for things, and we'll see our thoughts behind what we did and didn't do. First thing, as we mentioned in our first video, we've been to Disney World a lot, so we can book a Disney World vacation, no problem. Disney cruises, and especially the fact that we haven't done a cruise before, we decided that we wanted a little bit more help with that, so we ended up going through a travel agency.
Yep, so we went through Dreams Unlimited Travel. You guys may know them if you watch a lot of YouTube. They also own the Diz Unplugged. So the Diz Unplugged.
Dreams Unlimited own the Diz, or does the Diz own Dreams Unlimited, or are they?
Dreams Unlimited owns them.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. And that was actually a pretty good experience, especially because we didn't know anything. We got assigned a specific travel agent. Her name was Beth, and she did all the booking for us. We kind of told her our preferences for everything and how much we did and didn't know. And she handled it from there. And every time we've had questions about absolutely anything, from changing our dining seating to how we're going to get from where we're staying beforehand to the port itself, she's gotten back to us very quickly through email, answering any questions. And I don't think she's ever made us feel like we were asking a bad question or a stupid question or anything like that. She's always been more than willing to help out with. But I'll talk about that a little bit later. With her cruise, the couple of things that we did know going into it, or do you want to handle this one?
No, go ahead.
Okay. The couple of things we did know going into it, because it was our very first cruise. We've never gone cruising before. We don't know anything about cruising. So we weren't sure if cruising would be the type of vacation that we would want to do. So the one thing we knew is we didn't want to do a long cruise. We didn't want to do like a 7-night cruise or anything like that, because if you hate cruising, well, you're stuck for 7 nights. It's not like you can just be like, nope, I'm not feeling this, and drive somewhere else.
But watching a lot of the videos that we're seeing on YouTube and things like that, I think we wish we would have chosen a longer cruise.
We're actually already planning on booking for another cruise, and we're planning on making it a longer one, 5 nights at least. To give some information on our cruise right now that we're about to go on, it's a 4-night cruise to the Bahamas. So it'll stop in Nassau in the Bahamas, and it'll stop at Disney's private island Castaway Cay. And we'll go a little bit more into that. So the reason we picked a 4-night cruise is because we wanted to make sure we didn't want a really short cruise, which Disney doesn't really do less than 3 nights anyways, but we didn't want a really short cruise because we wanted long enough to actually make a determination and not feel like, oh, we got off on the ship, and then a couple days later, oh, now we're getting off the ship, and, have the vacation go by really quickly. So we were like, 4 nights sounds just about perfect. It's enough. You're stopping in some ports, so you will have a feel for that. We've got a day at sea, so we'll have a feel for what do you do on a day when you're not in a port, and how busy is the ship, and how easy it is to do things, and things like that. Destination-wise, we kind of stuck with our roots. We stuck with the things we knew. Disney sails out of quite a few different ports around the U.S., depending on what cruise you're going on and what you want to do. And they even sail out of some international ports as well. We didn't want to do international for our first one. And especially because airfare and everything is really expensive. So with sticking with our roots, we are flying into Orlando, and then we're going out of Port Canaveral, which Port Canaveral is about I think I've heard a 45-minute drive from the Orlando International Airport. And we always tend to fly Southwest because free bags, and there's fairly inexpensive airfare flying from Indianapolis, which is where we fly out of. So that was kind of how we picked where we were flying, and then from there we were like, okay, if we're sailing out of Port Canaveral, what length of time are we looking at, and everything else.
It is a shorter cruise. We normally stay at Pop Century, which is fairly affordable for us. This time, because we're only going to be at Disney World 2 days, we are staying at Port Orleans, Riverside.
Yep, and we hadn't actually mentioned that yet. So dates, the reason we picked the dates we have, we're going the last week of January. And the reason that we picked that is quite simply, we live in Indiana. And in Indiana, January and February is the coldest months of the year. So not only that, but we work in the financial industry and it's feeding into tax time. So what better time of the year to get out of town than when it's really, really cold and it's super busy and stressful at work, and just relax for a week before you go back into all that. So that was actually my choice. You had wanted to do something like March, April, and I was like, but it's warming up then. There's no point. There is a point. Of course there's a point. There's always a point. But there's more point when it's like 10 degrees out.
Yeah, and it's cold.
Right and now. It is.
It's really cold.
So then...
I said, gotta cut that.
It's okay, you edit.
I know, I cut out like 100 times last time.
You don't notice that you're saying until you go back and listen to yourself saying yeah, it's fun.
That's why you see me stop.
It's okay. That's what editing is for. So one of the things that we did here, we not only that we thought about, because flying out of Indianapolis in the wintertime, one of the main concerns is, well, what about the weather? Was if you're flying in for a cruise, you want to arrive the day before your cruise is actually set to leave, because cruise ships don't wait for anybody. They can't. Whether you're in a port of call and you're getting back to the ship, whether you're getting on the ship itself, cruises don't wait. So we really didn't want to risk not making the cruise. So we ended up deciding we were going to fly in ahead of time. And then because of things happening at Disney World, the logical extension of that for us was, well, let's just spend the weekend in Disney World before we go on the cruise. So
yep, so let's go ahead and talk about some of the onboard activities and port adventures that we're going to be doing this cruise. Let's see, we are doing Palo dinner, tried to get brunch, couldn't do brunch.
Brunch is hard, we'll talk about that in a sec.
We'll ask for brunch though, don't worry.
Yeah.
We are also doing the scuba diving, bike riding.
It's not scuba.
We're also doing the snorkeling, bike riding, and
float rental.
The float rental. I believe that was, do you remember how much that was?
$46 a person.
Yeah, which isn't too bad. So, yeah, we were going to do the Castaway Cay 5K, but I think we might wait for a longer cruise before we do that.
Which is probably smart, especially coming off of Disney World. We do Disney hard. We've worn people out before on our Disney World trips, and especially considering we're flying in, our flight leaves very early in the morning on Saturday. We've got a full day at Magic Kingdom, and then Sunday we're getting up early so we can try and get a boarding pass for Rise of the Resistance. So we're probably going to be pretty tired by the time we actually hit the cruise ship.
Yeah, so also when you book the cruise, you can go onto the app and you can buy gifts and things like that. And I bought the beer mug package, so I believe I get 14-ounce beers for the price of 20 or something like that.
It would be the opposite. 20-ounce beers for the price of, I think, a 16-ounce beer.
Yeah, there you go. So that's what I purchased for me. What did we purchase for you?
Rice Krispie treats.
Yeah, so that'll be fun.
So we'll back up a step with that. So on the app, once you have your booze, Lord, edit. Once you have your cruise booked, you can download the Disney Cruise app, which I would recommend doing it before you actually hit the cruise, because when you're on board, unless you pay for the Wi-Fi packages, which we're not, it's the only thing you can use on their Wi-Fi without having to pay for it, and it's good to give you information on what happenings are going on the ship, movies playing, character greetings, things like that. And it's also a way that you can free message other people in your party. So he and I, if we split up for some time, I want to go sit up on the pool deck and read, and he wants to go play bingo or something, we can message each other. It's okay. Let your grandpa fly. We can do that and message each other, and we don't have to pay for it, and we don't have to worry about the fact that on the open ocean there's no cell service, and we don't have to pay for Wi-Fi in order to do that. It's just we won't have access to social media or the internet or things like that, and that's perfectly fine. One of the things we really like about Disney World is the fact that it's really easy, especially if you get in the Disney bubble, to disconnect. So that's one thing we're looking forward to on the cruise, is being able to truly disconnect and just relax and not think about things back home for a week.
Yeah, so we thought about talking about cost, but cost is kind of tough because it depends on the time of year you go. There's so many different factors. When you purchase the cruise, the farthest out you purchase your cruise, the lower price you'll have. So it's really, really tough to say exactly how much you're going to pay for your cruise. I think we approximately paid $3,000.
Between $2,500 and $3,000. It wasn't quite $3,000, I don't think, but it was more than $2,500. And we booked a ocean view room with a veranda, and verandas are going to cost you more. What we can tell you about cost is time of year, and even week to week, the cost can make a difference. And obviously length of your cruise is going to make a difference. And your room, what room you want and where you want it, will make a difference. There's 4 different room categories on a Disney ship. You have an inside stateroom, ocean view stateroom, a veranda stateroom, or concierge, which is the big bucks. And not only that, but where that stateroom is located in the ship can make a difference in the price, from maybe $100 or so up to a couple $100 within the same category. But that's something, when you go in and you book it, you can look and see, and you can play around with the different options and look at it. So it's just something to take into consideration. One thing we can talk about with cost is Disney cruises, as anybody will tell you, are more expensive than, say, Carnival or Royal Caribbean or one of the more popular cruise lines. One thing that we noticed, because when we were first looking to book, we actually were looking at, I think, like Royal Caribbean or something like that. When we were looking at it, the base ticket price is really inexpensive. But then when you add on things like, you have to add on your drinks packages. Other cruise lines don't include any drinks at all, whereas Disney will include soda and water and things like that for free. It's just alcoholic drinks and bottled water and things like that you have to pay for. Adding that in, and just us knowing what we know about Disney service level, we were like, it's worth it to, once you add on all the taxes, all the fees, all the other things we have to pay for. We did not do the math to come down to the penny and determine that it was the same, but it came close enough that then the intrinsic value to us of it being Disney was enough for us to be like, well, then we'll just do a Disney cruise. I think we are planning in the future to go on maybe a Royal Caribbean cruise or something of that nature, especially if we decide we do like cruising. But for now, we'll give Disney a shot, and we'll see how it all turns out.
So we will be vlogging the trip, so it should be coming here very soon, if not already, by the time you see this.
Well, I'm assuming that this will be like our second weekly one, and then after that we'll have the once a week for the trip, right?
Yep.
So it'll be the ones after this episode, which for us is still several days in the future, but this time next week we'll be on the Disney ship and we'll be filming, which will be a new experience for us. We've never done anything like this. We've never cruised before, and we've never actually done vlogging actively before. Little bits and pieces. I remember when Periscope was a thing. You Periscoped at Disney World once. Yeah. So people were on my side about some popcorn. That's all I remember from it. So
All right. Now we gotta cut our outro.
I don't know if we have an outro. Have you made up an outro? Because I haven't made up an outro.
Nope, not yet. So we'll see you next time.
Yep. Have a good night.